Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Real Estate Investing. I'm your host, Sharon Bornholt, and I'm so happy you're tuning in today. My guest today is Bryan Driscoll. Bryan is a real estate investor and a digital marketing and SEO expert. He's the co-founder of Motivated Leads, which is a digital marketing agency. They help real estate investors expand their portfolios by generating quality, motivated seller leads. He has a vast amount of experience with both large and small companies, and this is what inspired him and his co-founder, Chad, to create Motivated Leads. They help investors all over the country have the same success as they have had in their own business. Bryan has been recognized by Forbes and other major publications over the past 12 plus years. And 5 years ago, he started investing in real estate rental properties, to be specific, and he now owns 20 plus properties. So welcome to the show, Bryan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, I kind of touched on the big picture, but I mean, you had your ads agency, but what made you go down the actual, take the leap to invest yourself? Because very often that's two separate things.
It is. You know what? That's a good question. So I got involved in marketing back in like early 2000s. And I got pretty good at it. So I was dealing with like larger e-commerce companies, national and international companies, which are really competitive on the marketing side. And then I bought my first house off of a wholesaler and I saw what he made on the HUD. I'm like, geez, I can market for this. So I slapped up a Carrot website and just started toying around and I started getting leads. So that's how I got involved with the real estate also. And after I did that for a while, I saw there's a big need. There aren't very many people that understand marketing and also real estate investing. Like there's a lot of people that understand real estate, but they don't know what a motivated seller is. So that's kind of how I got into it.
That is a point. I mean, you can find sellers all day long. You can find people that want to sell, but finding a motivated seller and getting that group niche down, that's another whole topic. So I'm always curious to know, I mentioned in your intro, and I just wanted to just touch on this a bit before we move on, that you have a co-founder, a partner, and I get a million partnership questions. So tell me about how your partnership and your co-founder and all that came to be.
Yeah, sure. So Chad's my co-founder. He also owned a big agency. He dealt with more of the Facebook ads. I dealt with a lot of the SEO kind of stuff. So we worked together prior to this. So we'd work on multiple clients. Like say there's an e-commerce client selling t-shirts. They're doing a couple $100,000 a month or something. I would handle the SEO strategy. He would handle the Facebook, and it works well together. So we got to know each other and see that we worked really well together. And then we decided, hey, let's do something together. And we partnered up and started this entity.
Yeah, I think you just hit upon the secret sauce with partnerships. You had different skill sets, but in the same, both online, the digital world, but you each had different skill sets. And that seems to me, I talk to a lot of people through this podcast, and that seems to be the thing that differentiates those partnerships that work well together and those that don't. There's a clear line in the sand of where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are.
Yeah. And partnerships, I've had some really bad ones. I always told myself I'm never getting involved in partnerships ever again, just because when you're in a bad one, that'll wreck you. Like you're stressed out, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's really important. Like Chad's really chill. We get along really well. We're kind of easygoing. We know each person's looking out for the best interest of the other person. Not going to screw each other over, but you have to be really, really careful when getting involved with partnerships.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that's kind of an off the wall question, but I'm always interested to see how that works in a business. So I'm a marketing nerd myself. It's always been a thing that I've been interested in, and I've always been good at it. The digital end of it is a whole different ball game. But so tell me about your business. You handle online ads of all types, SEO, all things digital, I guess. So, and I'm interested too, because we both love Carrot. I was probably one of the first users ever of the Carrot website. But tell me how that all works. If somebody came to you and said, look, I have no clue about what all this is, how would you explain that to them?
Yeah, sure. So basically what digital marketing is, like say we'll use Carrot as an example. Carrot's the website. So it's a website. It could be www.ibuyhouses.com or whatever it is. And that is, I use a website as kind of a disqualifier. I want to send traffic to the website. The website is to inform the visitor, hey, we're cash buyers, we're not paying top dollar. We can make a convenient sale, things like that. And then if that person's interested, to capture their information, boom, they're done. So what we do on the marketing side is our job is to get qualified traffic to that website. So we want to find the people that are motivated, looking to sell their house, or have an off-market deal. So we'll use Facebook ads, which are the ads whenever you're scrolling in your Facebook feed, or Google pay-per-click, or SEO. Like Google, you can pay to be at the top. We send traffic to the website. And our goal is to have the right people go to the website to find the people that are truly motivated that want to sell their properties.
And how do you narrow down the qualified part?
So you mean getting the right people to the site?
Getting the right people to the site. Yeah.
Okay. So on Facebook, it's Facebook, we're marketing with ads, videos, GIFs, things like that. Mm-hmm. So it's all creative, and it's like artwork kind of stuff. So the main thing on Facebook is you want to make sure your ads are extremely direct with your messaging. You don't want to do ads like, hey, find out how much your house is worth, free home valuations, things like that. I found it works really well. Be extremely direct. Like if I'm looking for motivated sellers, I'm putting beat up houses on the ads. I'm putting, we buy houses, sell your house fast, we're cash home buyers, those types of phrases, because I don't want people just wanting to sell their house. I want people that want to sell a house they can't sell on the market. It needs too much work and they just can't fix it.
Right. Right. And that's always been my ideal person. If they could list it on the MLS, they don't really have a lot of motivation. They might have a time and circumstances motivation. For instance, with probates, maybe they're in California and the deceased was in New York. So they might have a time and circumstances problem where they're willing to sell for less money and they know they're getting less money, but that's not your typical case.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I do a lot with like hoarder houses, things like the people we find are normally like, even if they inherited a home and they can't afford to fix it to get it ready for the MLS, like people like that, it's like, you just inherited this house and you don't have 30 grand extra just sitting around to put into it. Yep. And it's like, you have to unload it, but you can't really stick it on the MLS because it's like, it's dated and filled with all kinds of junk.
Right. Right. That's my ideal client, since I love probates. You know, it's got a bunch of stuff in it. It's like, okay, I can take care of that for you.
Right.
So how did you decide? I mean, in business, you have to find a way to be different. I always think back to a book written by Sally Hogshead called Fascinate, where she says different is better than better. And I have never forgot, out of that whole book, that's the thing that sticks in my mind all the time. Different is better than better. So how did you really nail down what makes you different from other businesses doing what you do?
Yeah. So we have the experience side, which is one thing that makes us different. But one of the main things is too, I'm always thinking about how to get the deal. Like most digital marketing companies want to get leads. Right. Since I'm an investor, like I've done this marketing for myself before we ever offered it to people. For example, I know if I get a lead that comes through my website and I automate a text message to that lead immediately when they fill out a form saying, hey, thanks for filling out a form. Here's a link to my calendar to book a time for us to come give you an offer. That increases, number one, it shows me their motivation. Number two, if we're on Google pay-per-click, it gets them to quit filling out the next person's and they booked an appointment. So they're good. And we get a conversion rate of like 30 to 40%. Wow. So I don't even need to talk to that person, which we always call them pre-qualify them anyways before going out, but I don't need to call them and set up an appointment. They already did it. So we're already past that first stage. So things like that I've just experienced because I'm trying to generate the leads and deals ourselves is one of the main differentiators.
That is really good, because a lot of people send out a text, but the link to the calendar, that's got to be huge.
Yeah, it is. And I was always thinking about, I'm like, I'm going back and forth with these people, and I do a lot of JV deals too. So I'm trying to book appointments and I'm not the guy going out to meet them. So yeah, I just came across that messing around because I used to keep a text message in my phone. Like every time I got a lead, I'd copy it and paste it. And then eventually I figured out, hey, wait a minute, I can just automate this.
Yeah, it's funny because I use a calendar scheduling program for, well, as you know, for podcasts, for all sorts of things. And it makes my life so much easier because I don't have to pull out my calendar, call somebody back. I can get that immediate appointment. Then I can begin the follow-up process. But I honestly never thought about doing that with sellers. That's really a good tip, folks. If you all don't take another thing from this podcast, there's your $1,000,000 tip. So, what types of off-market sellers are you generally looking for? Do you have a type, or is it just any off-market seller?
You know what? We used to be able to target on Facebook and Google for in more detail. Like we used to be able to upload lists. We used to
Right.
be able to target people more specifically. Now we can't as much ever since Apple's iOS 14 update and Facebook getting in trouble with discrimination.
Yeah.
So we can't really target based on age, sex. We can't even target by zip code. We have to do a county at minimum or a 15-mile radius around a city.
Wow.
So it's
Wow.
a little bit more a little tougher, but we're targeting just for like this distressed property motivated seller. Now we can't target just specifically probate, things like that though, if that
Right.
is your question.
Right. Now, no, it does. And I know that with all the changes, you used to be able to really, really niche down. They talk about knowing your customer avatar. You could really say how old you wanted them to be. And there were all kinds of things you could put in there. And I know that that's made Facebook ads a lot tougher for a lot of people.
Right. One thing is though, it's an older demographic on Facebook. So there's
Really?
one plus on that platform.
And what would you say the demographic is now?
40 plus.
40 plus. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of my granddaughter. She goes, not Facebook, no Instagram, TikTok,
Right.
all the other ones. Yeah. So 40 plus. I'm not too surprised by that. So I want to think about for a minute and go into a little bit in depth here. If a real estate investor has maybe tried ads and failed, and I know a lot of those people, they dabbled, they took a course, they did something, but at the end of the day, they did not get the return on their money from ads. Tell me, where do these people start? Obviously, you can help them with that, but I believe people should understand what's happening, even if they're not doing it. I'm a big believer in them being educated on what should be happening. So if I send somebody over to you that says, I tried Facebook ads back when I did not get any results, what would you say to that person? Walk me through the process of how you can turn that around and they can get motivated seller leads. They can pay for their ads and how that'll all work.
Sure. So if someone was going to say, hey, I did Facebook ads in the past and failed, my first question is going to be, what were you doing? Because on Facebook, you have two choices. You can send traffic to a website, or you can do something that's called a Facebook lead form. So what a lead form is when you're scrolling through Facebook, you see an ad, you click it, and Facebook has a form native in Facebook that auto fills your information. All you do is click submit and you're done. It's a very low quality lead. Usually ends up being garbage, but you can get them really cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if you click that same ad, it looks the same on your feed, but you click it and then it takes you to your website. The website does a pretty good job of pre-qualifying the lead. So I would say if someone's doing Facebook lead forms in the past, there's one ticket right there to start sending traffic to the website.
Okay. So send the traffic to your website where they're not just lining up someplace else.
Right.
Okay.
And then also Facebook's huge because of their algorithm. Like their algorithm is extremely intelligent. So what you need to do on your website, it's called a Facebook pixel. It's a snippet of code that you can get out of your Facebook account. You need to have that on your entire website. You put it in the head part of your website. And then more importantly, you have to put a separate code on your thank you page. So what that's doing is, say you send 100 people to your website and 10 fill out a form. Facebook now knows those 10 people turned into a lead. Once you get enough people becoming leads, like filling out the forms, their algorithm can look and find people that are similar to those types of people and put ads in front of them instead of just the general public.
That all happens through the Facebook pixel.
Yeah, so that's huge. Most people I see either don't have event tracking set up or don't have the pixel on their website at all.
Yeah, I know in lead pages, because I use a lot of thank you pages too in lead pages. And I know that they have a spot for your Facebook pixel.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So if you're doing it, if you don't have a Facebook pixel on your website, you might as well not even do Facebook because it won't work. Same with boosting posts on Facebook. If you're going to do ads, you have a choice. You can do a like campaign. You can do link clicks. You can ask for video views, engagement, or conversions. Facebook's algorithm also knows which people watch videos and do nothing else, or which people will click a link and do nothing else. So you want to set up the conversion, or you want to set up what you're optimizing for as a conversion, telling them, hey, I want leads. Otherwise, they're going to send people that like to watch videos. They'll watch your videos and do nothing else. So you'll spend a whole bunch of money. Your numbers will look fancy, like a lot of people saw your ad, but it's the wrong people.
Yeah, they did nothing with it. I have a friend who's had that problem a lot, and she found out that she had it set up wrong. One of the settings was wrong in there, and when she changed that setting, it changed her results. She didn't get as many clicks, but she got more. I don't know. She got quality people instead.
Right. Yeah, you'll get way less people clicking through, but they're the right people and they're the right leads. And say, for example, like a video view campaign is good to use for retargeting, maybe. Like once someone's seen your business, now you're trying to show them a video to build your credibility. But the initial campaign to a cold audience, you want to target conversions.
Okay. If someone were starting out and they're starting fresh, what would be the approximate cost for, and I'm not going to nail you down, just a ballpark on getting the help? So there's two parts. There's getting someone to help you with your ads, and then there's the part with your ad spend. What would be a minimum budget for someone to get any kind of results?
I usually recommend on the ad spend side, $1,500 per month, like $50 per day. Okay. You can do less, but it's just going to take longer. $50 a day is usually a good starting point, depending on your market. You know, if you're in San Diego, that's not enough.
You're right. Probably in my market, it's probably enough. Much smaller market, million-ish with the surrounding counties, something like that.
Yeah, that would be sufficient.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then as far as what does it cost to have someone help you with all this?
So someone like us, we charge $1,500 per month per channel. So if we're doing Facebook, it's $1,500 plus ad spend. Google pay-per-clicks, you would double that price if you wanted to do both. So yeah, we're $1,500 for SEO, $1,500 for Facebook, $1,500 for Google pay-per-click.
Okay. So then you're looking at about $3,000 a month.
Yeah, 3,000 plus ad, 3,000 minimum.
3,000 minimum. Yeah, that's just a starting point.
Right.
And obviously, as you got deals, you could ramp that up. But if you're looking at an annual cost, let's say we're going to use the 3,000, that's $36,000. You've got to be getting some deals off of that.
100%. Yeah, on average, we usually close like 1 out of 10 leads. The average acquisition cost ends up being about $3,000 to $5,000. So if you're wholesaling houses and you're only making $3,000 a month, it's not really a good fit. If you're flipping homes, like some guys making 50, 100 grand, their budgets are unlimited once they can get leads. They're like, hey, how many more of these can we get? So it depends on your model, things like that.
Right. So you only run leads for motivated sellers. You don't do digital products and things like that.
Correct. Yeah. Specifically ads for real estate investors.
Okay. So I want to circle back to something you said about artwork, because that's fascinating to me, because I'm the shiny object person that gets stuck on the pretty of things. And maybe this looks this way. No, my daughter will go, they're all blue. And I'll go, no, they're not. They're like 50 colors of blue.
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit. I know that there've got to be some points that grab people. What is it that grabs people? We talked about video ads and their place, and maybe not so good for conversions, but from an aesthetic point, what does a good ad look like?
A good ad's extremely direct, and some video ads actually can convert if you run a video ad and tell Facebook you want conversions from it, not views.
Okay.
To clarify on that, but what I find works really well is big, bold text saying sell your house fast, or we buy houses, we pay cash, or we buy houses, you don't have to make repairs, things like that, with beat up houses. Like take pictures of homes in your area that they are your properties, like before pictures, or even just find some online. And if you need help getting ads made, like you can hop on a place like Fiverr, Upwork, you can have designers make ads for like 10, $20. They're fairly cheap,
Mhm.
or you can make them your own.
So what advice do you have for people that are starting out on this path? Should they learn up front? Should they hire somebody right off the bat? What if they're stuck in this middle part where they're not quite ready for $3,000 a month? What advice could you give to them?
Yeah, I would look at it. So you're either going to spend time or money, and it
Mhm.
depends how you're built and how you think. So a lot of people, especially in the real estate industry, surprisingly, a lot of people like running numbers, figuring out data,
Mm.
and things like that. So if you're one of those people, I say minimum $50 a day ad spend on Facebook. But if you're trying to learn, I would start do a Facebook campaign and stick like $5 or $10 a day at it. Let it run, look at all the data, look what happened, and then tweak based on what you see there. So that's one of the things I would recommend. If you're one of the people that are already in business, you're doing a couple deals a month, you don't have the time or even want to learn how to do it, that's when you hire somebody to do it for you so you can stay focused on your business.
Right. Right. And I say that all the time. With marketing, you've got to spend your time or your money. And in a lot of cases, a little bit of both, especially if you're just starting out.
Right. And it's good because then you'll understand it too. If you're doing it on your own and you're just starting out,
Mhm.
one tip is you have to be consistent. So whether it's digital, mailers, like you can text. I know a lot of people do well texting, cold calling, whatever it is. You don't just stick up Facebook ads for 1 week and then get rich. Like it's got to be a constant thing. You're trying to stay in front of people, getting the data, things like that. Same as mailers. You don't just send one postcard. You stay on
Right.
front of the people.
Would it be a fair statement to say that people need to look out 6 months to a year, even to know if their marketing strategy works, but maybe examine it weekly and then tweak? It's my understanding that you shouldn't tweak the title and the picture, tweak the whole thing. You should tweak one thing and then find out, is it your title that's the problem? Is it the words that are the problem? Is it the graphic that's the problem? What's your take on all of that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So yeah, number one, you want to give it at least 6 months to a year to see how it's
Mhm.
working. And when you're testing, you're right. Only change one thing, because if you change the image and the headline and it works or doesn't work, you don't know which change it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
really hard for people to do too. Even myself sometimes. Like you gotta hold yourself back because you keep getting these ideas. Oh, what if this? What if this?
Mhm. Yeah. So if you are doing that, let's say for a minute you change the image. Do you leave that image a week, a month? Does it depend solely on your looking at your data and nothing's happening, or this is better, or how does that all work?
Yeah. So what I would look at, the amount of time's is not as important. Just because if you're spending $2 a day versus $50 a day, the $50 a day is going to get the data way quicker. What I would
Mhm.
be looking at is how many impressions, like how many people see the ad, and then how they engage with it. So if you're getting clicks for, say you're getting clicks for $3, and then you change something and it goes to $5, okay. And you have to have enough data in there, like at least a couple thousand people need to see it. And then you can look at that, then make a change and show it to the same amount of people and see, did you get more clicks? Did you get less clicks? Did you get any conversions? How long did people stay on your website? If you have Google
Mhm.
Analytics installed on there, you can look at data like that. And you're just mainly looking, and you're going to try to find a trend. Like once you make a change and you get acceptable results, try to replicate that.
Okay. Okay. So at the end of the day, it really is all about the data. And you've either got to have somebody, this is my opinion, that is very data driven and knows what to look for and how to make these tweaks, or you're just kind of dead in the water. You can't skip that part of it. The data tells the whole story.
100%. Yeah, the data it's all in the numbers, especially like not to get too into the weeds, but if you're running lead gen and you're doing paid marketing, you have a lead come in today. If you don't close that, if you don't even get that lead under contract for 6 months, normally we'll be looking at data. And we like to attribute that back to the initial ad spend. So you can after you get enough data going through, you can be like, okay, I know it cost me 1,500 to get a deal or 2,500 to get a deal, things like that. Cause those are the real numbers. Cause you're like,
Mhm.
okay,
Right.
I'm spending $3,000 a month. If I spend 9, does my income triple?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's something I would assume you don't know that until you know if
Right.
over
Yeah.
to over
And I,
time.
Yeah, you don't know, and especially with real estate, because you get something under contract, you might not close on that for, especially with the title companies nowadays, like minimum 30 days. And you figure you got a 60-day window from the time you talk to them to close minimum. So you have to have your campaigns running long enough to have all those numbers bake out.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot for people to absorb. So tell me this, would there be, what have I not, what have we not talked about that people need to know?
I think you covered it pretty well. One thing, back to the partners, when we were talking about that, I thought about this after you
Mhm.
asked me. One thing that I did with Chad and I, instead of us partnering together in an entity, since we both had agencies, our agencies partnered together on projects, so that if we needed to split, it's not like we are both involved in one entity that we have to get lawyers and split it. It's like, okay, my agency was called Think Big, his was Grow Stackers. We collaborated and just split profits.
Mhm.
And then if it didn't work out, boom, we just part ways like nothing. Versus I know a lot of people get so excited, like, oh yeah, let's go set up an LLC. Let's go do this. Let's go do this. Let's
Yep.
go do this, before they know if they can work well together. And then
Mhm.
you get into big fights, things like that. So that's one thing I could bring that could help people
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking about. Then you get into the ugly business divorce. So that's a smart way to do it. I do know people that have very successful collaborations, but in each case they have their own skill sets, and they know exactly what their roles are, and they share the same vision. They have the
Right.
same culture. It all comes back to culture. Even in a partnership like yours, you got to be on the same page. And I'm sure you all have other people in your business, and if they don't share your vision, they don't share your culture, then it doesn't matter how good the two of you are.
Right. Especially real estate investors too, because we're aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, like real estate investors are a different type of people. So I could see a lot of real estate investors, like, yeah, you have to have those roles. Like
Mhm.
if I'm an investor and I wanted to partner up with someone, you have a money person, maybe you partner
Yeah.
up. That makes kind of sense. If the money person just does the money and you do what you're doing and get the deals and
Yeah.
turn that money into more money, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And with private money partners, I think if you think of private money partners as partners, then you have a much better long-term relationship with those folks too, because it gets to be, it's a win-win for them and it's a win-win for you.
Right.
Who doesn't want private money, right?
Yeah. And you can get a lot of stuff accomplished. Like I look at, I want to find whoever I'm working with. I want them to be weak where I'm strong, and I want them to be super strong and where I'm weak. So be aware of your faults and things like that, and be like, okay, well, like, because if I worked with someone like me, we would fight all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like Chad's real chill. He's really strong in areas that I'm not, and so we work really well together. So
Mhm.
look for that in a partner whenever you're
Mm. Yeah, my
working.
daughter and I, we've worked off and on in business for many years, and she is very much the hold on a minute, I'll get you an Excel spreadsheet. And I'm like, okay, that'd be great. Give me the data from the Excel spreadsheet. So we are
Right.
she's very much a process, detail person. And I've reached a stage where I'm very much a bit, oh, the big picture thinker. So we work very well together, because I can just say, here, you do this. And it's like, okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Stuff like that. It
Yeah.
works really well. Just think it through and plan on. And
Mm,
an attorney told me a long time ago, he says, whenever you're starting a partnership, like your operating agreement, things like that, like plan on the breakup.
yeah.
I
On the
think
day
ahead.
you start up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great show, Bryan. I've learned a ton of things. I've taken some notes, and a couple parts I'm going to go back and personally listen to, and I'll be sure and put the resources here in there. But what is the best way for folks to get in touch with you?
Best way is just to reach out on our website. It's motivated-leads.com. So you can go
Yeah.
there, fill out a form, give us a call, and yeah, just like that.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. So, folks, that's a distinction, motivated-leads.com. So, I'll put that in the show notes, and be sure and reach out to Bryan, because if you even have a thought of doing Facebook ads, if you can have someone do them for you, this is their skill set. And I'm a big believer in staying in your own lane. I'm the first to admit when I don't know something, as much as I like being a lifelong learner. Um, I know that it's not always the best thing for you to try to do well, a lot of things. If it's not in your core genius, don't do it. Get Bryan to do it. And just your business will grow faster and grow further with the right people in your business. So thanks again, Bryan. And thanks to all the folks for coming out week after week. I really do appreciate the fact that you show up and listen to this show. And I would appreciate it if you would leave us a rating and review on over on iTunes, because that helps people find us. And I will see you all same time, same place next week. Bye for now.